I will call the January 21st regular meeting of the Irmo County Council to order, and I will recognize Mayor Pro Tem Hook to lead us in the pledge of allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Join me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening to ask your blessing and guidance. We ask that all of those present be blessed. Guard and protect them as they go back home to their families. Lord, we ask a special blessing for our men and women in uniform that are in foreign lands, protecting our right to come here and speak freely this evening. We ask that you give us all of these blessings in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes of January 7th. Is there a motion for approval as written? And second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes approved as written, do so with show of hands. The next item is the administrative briefing. Ms. Brown, anything you need to add?
Yes, sir. I met with Mr. Phil Teague of the Union Methodist Church last week. He's on their board of directors about our proposed walking trail. He met with their board of directors last week also, and they're doing some more research. He won't permit right now. They're concerned about liability issues. So they'll get back with me when they get through making a decision.
Is that something that if we had to do a rider, are they concerned about it all the time, or just the Oaks Trail, or any time, or every
No, all the
time?
time.
Oh, okay.
It's walking trail on their property. So it's her.
Hilda's property over there.
Not there. It's really property.
Is that something, Jake, we could add to our rider policy on the park or anything, or insurance policy on the park, even though it doesn't?
We have an insurance policy on the park, and we have an insurance policy which basically covers us. I mean, if we, basically, anything we basically engaged in now, we're pretty much covered.
If somebody leaves, say, the town park and is walking through the Hiller property or to United Methodist, say, calls in a trip.
Yeah. Well, what we have done basically is this. I have negotiated with Mr. Hiller a revocable easement wherein he is providing us an easement or right of way to the town across that property. So under the law, we are not able to do work on private property. However, if we have an easement, the easement belongs to us and we can do work in our easement. So if we secure an easement for ingress and egress to the church or simply for use by our citizens with the park, the easement actually belongs to us. And if someone is in effect using our easement and we somehow do something that is negligent, then it would be, the town would be liable for that up to the limits of liability and for which we have total insurance. So Union really should not have any exposure since A, the easement doesn't belong to them, and all we'd be doing is joining their property with our easement. The responsibility to maintain that easement would basically be ours. Now, understand, Mrs. Hiller basically can take away our easement anytime she wants to. But we've made inquiry of the Hiller family if they want to sell that 6 acres, either for the fire department or if not, the fire department didn't want it for the town. And the response I have had back is that Mrs. Hiller does not wish to sell it. I believe she probably is in a position age-wise where she doesn't need the money. And if she sold it, she'd be worried about the possibility of maybe some taxes. I don't know that. Now, there may be a way that if we actually wanted to acquire the property, either for the fire department or for us, we could conceivably work out a friendly condemnation which would alleviate the tax problems they would have on sale if they, and I'm trying to find Mr. Hiller on the telephone to talk to him, but he's a very difficult man to get on the phone. He has agreed to have his mother sign the revocable easement, and he's made a couple of changes to what I wrote, and he is sending those back to me. As soon as I get that piece of paper in my hands, we will have the right, but not the obligation, to build the right-of-way. Once we build that right-of-way, it would be just like any other piece of town property, so long as we own it. So, Union's concerns from a liability standpoint, I doubt any lawyer in the world would have any reservation about us hooking on to building the easement that basically hooks onto their property. If he does, I would love to hear it, but, you know, I just don't see the liability concern for Union Church. Now, do I see a liability concern for us? Yeah. I mean, if we take it and open it, we're gonna have to maintain it. I mean, you gotta keep it free of debris, and you gotta keep it inspected, and you can't have holes in it, and it needs to be safe to walk. You know, the benefits to us, though, clearly outweigh any potential liability. I mean, the benefits to the church. I mean, I can imagine the church having one of its famous yard sales at the same time we're doing the orchestra, parking cars over at Union Church and charging to park there maybe, and making the church parking lot available to the orchestra and people walking back and forth. I don't know how many spaces they got, but it's a bunch. I can see the church having real benefits from this thing. And of course, you want as many people to use as they can. And gracious me, I can't imagine the church not wanting to have a park as an amenity to the church. They are able now to walk from the church to a 14-acre park. It's pretty cool. But I said more than the best.
Well, that's fine. At least we kind of know, because you know, even if, I'm sure when they need to come up with whatever it is, that if their concerns about somebody tripping and falling in their parking lot would be the same as if they were using their parking lot for obstruction. Hopefully, we can all work out before that, so.
That's right. And everybody's got,
use it.
and everybody's got liability insurance.
Yeah,
So
yeah, so they should have it on their parking lot already.
sure.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. President? Pardon? Had a couple things I wanted to add or mention. Oh, the first thing on administrative review, I think it's just a typo, but under new business, item A, the thing that has to do with the gas pump, it said this will once again prohibit gas pumps. It should say this will once again allow. Is that correct? No? Yeah, it says prohibit.
Well, that's the idea, we're gonna prohibit it from neighborhood commercial properties.
It's already. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, never mind, that's right. So once again prohibited. All right, that's right. Okay. I was reading it backwards. I couldn't figure it out.
You insert, but you forget.
Yeah. The recyclable bin, I don't know if it might be a good idea with, if, and all of this is, you say dummy idea, but a good idea. How much trouble would it be to take some of those things, drill holes in, put gravel in, put dirt in, and also sell them to people who want to do, raised bed garden? Would those things work for that idea, or something like that, or would that be a whole lot of time and money?
That's a possibility, yeah.
Because I was gonna get someone to do that, and I thought, oh, well, that might be something good. Already, if people wanna get them themselves empty, they can just take them, but
Yeah.
if they want us to do the dirt, and
That
they
would
come,
work.
give us whatever it costs for the dirt and gravel and time, and they might use it for that too, or something, kind of get rid of it.
Make money.
A bunch of them, they say Irmo items.
And it says
That makes
recycle,
it
so it might encourage people to.
Just need to free up the space.
And that was it for me. questions on administrative briefing? If none, next item is receipt of communication. First item is presentation of summer event by Ms. Atria of the Lake Murray Country. And I asked her to come because she wanted to talk to us about something I think she had talked to us before, about banners and the fishing tournament and all like that. So,
Thank you, Mayor King, and members of town and Irmo Council. I'm Mary Matria, and we promote the capital city Lake Murray Country region for tourism, and wanted to share with you some interesting information and ask two requests of council this evening. Our organization in the last 7 months has put this region on national and worldwide television. We in August announced that the Forest Wood Cup, which is the pinnacle Super Bowl of fishing events, is coming to Lake Murray August of 2014. And what was to be 7 venues to hold this event today has turned into 9 venues that will be utilized for this event. When we had the event here in August 2008, we won the South Carolina's Governor's Cup on Tourism because it generated $46 million, $16 million in new tourism revenues, and the rest was in national and worldwide television and advertising and PR. So we want to welcome that event this August, but we also want to tie that event into a whole summer celebration of events. As you are probably well aware, we have been producing Lake Murray's July 4th celebration on Lake Murray, and this year happens to be the 25th anniversary for that event. So we really want to make it special. And we figured the way to do it is we've looked around, and as we promote Lake Murray Country as the jewel of South Carolina, that is a 4-county area. And we've looked around and we've said, okay, we have so much red, white, and boom going on in this region. Let's turn this into a 7-day celebration of events. So, to tie all of this together, we want to get permission to put up flag banners on your pole, on the power utility poles, and welcome, starting in mid-June, our summer celebration of events. We have FLW Outdoors willing to provide the banners at no cost to the town of Irmo. On one side of the banner, and these same banners will be in various other locations in our 4-county region. From downtown Columbia, to which we would be promoting on the backside, the State Museum, for example. In Lexington, we would be promoting the Dixie Youth Softball on the other side. All of this is being done by FLW Outdoors for our community, just another advertising promotion. But we need to receive permission from this town to do that. Number one, the banners. Number two, as part of the 7-day celebration, Lake Murray's fireworks will kick off the week on Lake Murray on June 28th, Saturday, June 28th. Why are we shooting July 4th on Saturday, June 28th? Because the boat parade is filmed by Watch Fox 57, and they air the actual show on Watch Fox, 30-minute televised show, on July 4th. We also don't want to compete with Fort Jackson's fireworks or with Lexington County Peach Festival. We're in the tourism business, and we want them to what? Stay here as long as we can keep them. So my second request is that we would like to obtain a sponsor and host a evening of music over at the new Irmo Park. And we would like to do this on a weeknight. We are bringing the South Carolina Philharmonic Orchestra to Midlands Tech, to the Harbison Theater, as part of that 7 days as well. We literally have events that will fill the 7-day, and they're all patriotic. And so we're here tonight to request being able to put the banners up, promoting all of this, and to find out how we go about having a music event at the new Irmo Park.
Well, what day is that?
We are still, well, we don't, we want to make sure that this is something that this council would want to do, but it would probably be a Tuesday or Wednesday night. That week. July 1st, June 30th, somewhere in there.
The banner.
And this would be what our organization does is we would have billboards up, we would be producing television ads, radio ads. So this is a great promotion for the new park.
You were gonna mention the banners too, I think you said one side.
One side would be that the Forest Wood Cup is coming, so it would feature, you know, the fact that we're going to be having the Colonial Life Arena. They're going to have a free show, outdoor show, at the Convention Center for 4 days. There'll be a free country music, high-end country music star will be here. Everything's free, affiliated with the Forest Wood Cup, and it would be promoting that event. So the banners would need to be up mid-June through August the 17th.
60 days.
And we would tell you, I guess, how many we need for poles and do we tell you what size? or
We
you tell
provide
us
the
what
art,
size they are?
produce, we need the sizing.
You do the sizing and you.
Well, I did not know if you already had purchased the hardware.
We'd have to, yeah,
Okay.
we just need to figure out the hardware and.
And that's something our organization might even entertain for future promotion of future, the excitement of Lake Murray, the jewel of South Carolina. And I don't know if y'all realize this, and I love to say y'all, because when our organization moved the historic Lawrence Plantation home out as a visitor center, we had to get a state law passed to put interstate signage out for our visitors to get off this interstate, which we know is feeding the town of Irmo with a lot of visitors. You would be shocked if you saw the numbers everywhere in the world they're coming from. And you would be excited to know that when the Forest Wood Cup is in town, that all those televisions and all those Walmarts, no matter where they are, will be, the weigh-ins will be live and the coverage is with NBC Sports.
Do you have your people locally that are gonna put these banners up? I mean, they can look at our poles now, we got hardware on them.
I know for instance, I believe,
The Christmas lights have
Oh, so they would
hardware,
put
but it's not a standard that comes out.
They're willing to make a special bracket and hang them up, what we already got up there, it'd be a lot easier.
is that something I would work with you on?
I'll cash off on this. Yeah, we're out there in the bucket truck, looking at it.
Okay.
But
We
we need
just
something.
need to figure out what kind of bracket fits our stuff that would also be able to hold a banner.
Whatever.
And y'all tell us.
It's two different
may fit
things.
it.
It's two different things.
So that-
The wreath brackets and the
Read.
banner brackets are
Okay.
two different
We
things.
just need to get a bracket, a new bracket, put it up and then.
Correct.
Which we can check on that for you. Be happy to.
Well, I've seen banners put up with the Christmas brackets, they just make us, they have to make a special bracket attachment to the banner. I've
Okay.
seen them there in Gatlinburg,
Okay.
so I know what you've done.
So,
They just have to fabricate it, so I just didn't know who you were using if they wanted to fabricate something.
well, I know for instance, the town of Chapin, that SC&G would hang those for the town of Chapin. So. And then the secondary, the Irmo, the new park, this is something we've got to get on a fast-track plan. We're going to pull this off to get it in all of our media and literature. We're having our fundraiser, by the way, the Taste of Lake Murray, which actually raises the money for the fireworks. And we're celebrating our 10th year with that. In 10 years, we've raised over $800,000 through the Taste of Lake Murray. We're featuring the American Flyers, a band from Atlanta, a show band, and they played at the World Series and were asked to play the Super Bowl. So hopefully we'll see a lot of folks at the Taste of Lake Murray on March 20th.
Do we need to pick a band, or do y'all pick a band for the park?
Well, we have been in discussions with Swinging Medallions, as the band, but we're open. I mean, we wanted to make sure that this is something, you know, that the new park is ready and would be available.
Do you have her number? Or can you get in touch with her tomorrow?
We'll need to get something in writing, you have to apply for a sign permit, just so we get it all.
Yes, sir. Be happy to do that.
As
Thank
far as the band in the park, are you talking quick? Are you talking about like 2 weeks or a month or?
I'd say within 30 days. I'll be happy to send both of these requests in writing. I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary.
Next item is a report on the fire district procedures by Chief Summerfield.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to request that, because this could have some contractual implications, that this be taken up in executive session. And I'd be willing to make a motion to entertain an executive session out of order,
Yeah.
in order not to keep the fire chief here all evening.
Are you up on executive session? Okay. And
I'll make that a form of a motion to take it out of an executive session out of order.
second?
Second.
Okay. And all in favor?
We have a fire chief and fire marshal
Yeah.
and our town attorney.
We'll be right back. No votes to be taken. We'll be right back. Let's see, that was item G. Wanted to share something, and I think the lady's in here tonight. She'll be speaking, possibly at the presentation of citizens. She brought me a letter today in regards to the penny sales tax as far as another project. She felt like we should consider. She lives on Fork Avenue, and it's ditches that run down both sides of Fork Avenue. Get a lot of water, get a lot of trash in and all like that, as far as having it piped in. I had explained to her since we did the agenda last Thursday or Friday, whatever day, and the 48-hour notice and all that kind of stuff, and then the fact that we can't do an amendment to the agenda anymore. But I would bring it up under here, and then kind of say tomorrow, Bob can talk to Richland, Lexington County, and also talk to DOT about it. That may be something that we can do anyway. I just don't know. But I did want to bring it up during that, just to let you know a little bit about it. And then I told her that she wanted to speak from the presentation by citizens too. And this is the letter behind the edge and stuff that has to do with the piping of ditches. Kind of where the sidewalk ends, it goes up in the pond, and then on the other side, it's still out of park there. And you may know if that's something we've ever considered in the past, or not, or what the status is.
You know, we looked at it when we put the sidewalk.
Next item on the agenda is presentation by citizens. This is the time where citizens want to address anything that we have on the agenda tonight. This would be the time to do that. All we ask is you give us your name and address for the record, and then what item basically you want to speak to that's on the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to address the town council?
Hey, how are y'all today?
Good.
My name is Scott Caudill, Caudill, and I'm at 106 Cinder Hill Court. That's Cinder Hill, 2 words. I'm having some drainage issues. I've lived in my house for about 10 years, and shortly after one of our heavy recent rains, immediately prior to the forecast that we were going to have a very cold night, I climbed under my house to go look at the pipes to make sure that they were secure, or if there was anything I needed to do to secure them. And I was just astonished to see about 10 inches of water sitting on the low side of the inside of my foundation wall. And I knew that there was a lot of water running past or through my property, but I had no idea it was that much. And, I immediately became alarmed at the problems that was going to create for my home. I started talking to my neighbors, and they're all having, all of us on this cul-de-sac are all having water drainage issues also. It's fortunate for me, however, my foundation is not yet cracking up because of it, but theirs all are. So I dialogued with them on the matter. They seemed to think that the drainage ditch that ran on the backside of our properties was, you know, the problem, and that may have been their problem, but it's not my problem, because there is a stormwater drain between me and the ditch. So essentially what happens is the water comes down, it runs through my yard, because the grade is such where I'm barely higher than the stormwater drain. Then there's a cul-de-sac between us. The water cannot crest the cul-de-sac, so the water backs up in my yard for a little ways. In the meantime, my primary problem is all of this water that drains down past my house. Some kind of way it's getting in. I'm not able to discern that, but it's coming in. And so I started looking at the matter, and I thought, well, I started running some lines to try to figure out the grade. I realized I didn't have enough grain to run drain lines under the ground. Okay, well, I'll build some diversion walls. And I called Mr. King, and he said, yeah, you could do that, but you'll probably get sued. Okay, well, I don't want to do that. So what do I do? And he said, well, you need to contact Richland County and get on the record that you're having a problem. And then you probably ought to come tonight, and you ought to state your problem on the record, because there are other people around here having problems, and if, you know, we get on the record, the county might actually be interested in helping us out here. So I'm just here to put this on the record for y'all, and I'm trying to mitigate the damages as much as I can, but I don't have enough grade, and even where I would put the drain lines, all of my neighbors' utilities run through that very area. So I'd be digging with a spoon in order to, you know, not hit utilities. So anyway, I'm in a problem, and I can't really seem to figure it out on my own. So that's what I'm here for today.
Okay. And you said you're at 106 Cinder Hill?
Yes, sir.
I think you said that's, you go down Royal Tower past Briarsgate Boulevard, and it's the first
Yes, sir.
cul-de-sac on the right.
Yes, sir.
Northwell Tower, the Northwell Tower?
Yes, sir.
You're in New Friarsgate?
I'm in New Friarsgate, yes, sir.
That's off Friarsgate Boulevard?
If you're driving down North Royal Tower, you're heading south or west, you cross over the railroad tracks, you pass the gas station on the right, and then you pass Columbia Church on the right. You'll come to Friarsgate Boulevard. And then when you continue on down that hill, I'll be the first cul-de-sac on the right past Friarsgate Boulevard.
And when you pull in that cul-de-sac, are you left, right, or straight ahead, or?
When you pull into the cul-de-sac, you turn into it to the right. I'll be the first house on the right. Yes, sir.
And what we'll do, we do have that on the agenda tonight, that report, so we'll kind of be discussing that at some point, too, what we do here and how can we get Richland County to.
Yes, sir.
Is that Rawls Creek drainage?
No, that's a different creek on that side. Well, that drains into Ross Creek on that side, yeah, that's right, yeah, it does.
Okay.
And this side over here is, was Coon Ranch.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to know, who's your builder?
Well, you know, Mungo was the one that developed all that, but it was Shoemaker that was actually the builder.
I'd like to, for the record.
Come up to the podium and give us your name and address for the record. And it needs to be, something like a flooding here or something that's on our agenda this evening.
Okay, I just want to address that situation. My name is Melvin Searles, 259 Sandstone Road. and I live in the Avalon subdivision, and we've had tremendous problems with drainage also. Mungo were the principal builders of that subdivision, and I couldn't but help ask who's the builder or who developed whatever. There are many, many problems in the subdivisions within the Irmo area from the same developers and builders.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to address Irmo Town Council on anything on the agenda? No. Did you want to speak on this?
Thank you. My name is Flora Weed, and I live at 1473 Fork Avenue in Irmo. And I've been living there for 40 years, and for 40 years we've had the ditches up and down Fork Avenue. There are some places that there is no ditch. They have a sidewalk, but the ditches, DOT just come and digs them out, and then you have more erosion because they've taken all the grass out, and they just get wider and deeper. And I thought, since we have this, and I don't expect it to be done tomorrow or even next year, but it would be nice to have pipes put in that would drain the water away, and we could have sidewalks there that would complement the other sidewalks in the other neighborhoods. And then people would be safer walking up and down, because there are people that walk up and down Fork Avenue. There are school children that walk there also. And I just wanted to bring that all to your attention. Thank you very much.
Where the new entrance is?
No, it's a little bit, there are some on that side going down Fork Avenue, and then there's that sidewalk over on the right-hand side. But there are ditches over there on this side. And if you go further on down Fork Avenue, there are ditches. And they hold water a lot of times with all the rains we've had. So that brings a problem with mosquitoes also.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address Irmo Town Council? Next item on the agenda is new business. First reading of ordinance 1401 to amend the Irmo zoning ordinance, Article 2, Section 22, in regards to removing some NAICS code from neighborhood commercial zoning. Is there a motion for first reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion?
Well, I'll start since I put it on the agenda. Ever since we passed the addition to neighborhood commercial that included gas pumps and buried gas tank, it bothered me. I didn't feel like it was, I voted against it. I didn't feel like it was appropriate, because anything neighborhood commercial backs up to a home. And it was important to maintain the integrity of single-family residential. To me, that's always been a primary concern. I also was concerned because when you back up to a gas station, your home value goes down immediately. I don't know how much, you have percentage or anything, but it's one of those items that you can't overcome. I don't care how pretty your house is or how beautiful it is inside. You back up to a gas station, you're not going to get top dollar. There's no way. I always thought we made a mistake. Maybe not, but it's just what I thought. I thought one day I'm going to put it back on the agenda, because we ought to leave neighborhood commercial something amenable to homes, something like offices, even New Life Fitness, something that fits into the neighborhood. Where there are also churches, all types of things that might be detracted by a filling station. And I go to gas stations, so I don't have anything against gasoline. I use them regularly. I just don't think statistics, but on the standardized appraisal form for single-family residential house, they ask you what's the property on either side, front and back. They also ask for photographs of the street view, the houses on both sides and behind. When you put, it's got a name, oil, whatever station, you know, that zoning behind a home, that's it. I mean, it drops about 30%. You have to remember, they also bury gasoline tanks, you know, within maybe 100 feet of your house. There's a lot more to it than just gas pumps. I think we're doing our homeowners a disservice by leaving this in neighborhood commercial. It ought to be general commercial. I think that's what it is. And there are cases coming up. There are pieces of property that are zoned neighborhood commercial that will be developed in the next few years. And I think the last thing we need there is a gas station. I think we need dentists, insurance offices, even a small gym, whatever. I just don't think it's appropriate to back up to someone's home.
Anyone else? Yeah, we did have this conversation, I guess, 2 years ago. And at the time, I had got a copy from Bob on all commercial zone property in the town, neighborhood, internal, commercial, and all that. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but it seemed like there was 94 or 74, 84 or something neighborhood commercial properties in the town of Irmo that could have gas, or, you know, whatever. Now, some of them were small and probably weren't big enough to do all that, but they were still there. And there were some, good amount of them, I can't remember, it was like 60 or 50, that did back up to neighborhood already. You know, that's Hill Creek and every other neighborhood. The only thing that I disagreed with is that it wasn't fine then, it's not fine today, it can be fine then. If it's good enough for one neighborhood, it must be good enough for all neighborhoods. I know some people are offended, because they think, well, if they can put one in their neighborhood, then something happen in their neighborhood.
They have a right to be.
Yeah, and I don't know what the answer is. I voted against it too. I was opposed to it. I thought it was a bad thing. And, you know, the only thing that I would say if we're going to do it is and I'll make a motion, is that we amend the motion that's on the table to add that we require all gas pumps installed in the neighborhood commercials from the day we pass that they got to be removed within 3 years. So that's my motion for amendment. Yeah, to be removed in 3 years. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Do you second?
Well, I bet you making that motion?
Yeah. I didn't think I'd get a second. So there's a motion that we amend that to require any gas pumps that have been put in since that change has taken place, that they would have to be removed within 3 years if we pass that. So any discussion? Now, what I'm saying is the place they put it in, we have to take them out. That's basically what the board does. Bob Brandy's place, we have to take them out within 3 years if the amendment passes in the ordinance. Now, that may not be legal, and it may get sued, but that's my motion. So we all
Now, yeah, under my motion, that would be grandfathered in.
It would,
Probably.
where's Dick?
Here.
Oh, it would probably be grandfathered in, but,
You want to make positive that you provide to grandfather people, that you would, with the kind of investment, maybe $1 million investment.
right, somebody's gonna have to be invested.
You just couldn't do that, it's not fair.
You could change it
So,
to 10 years or whatever. You could change it to, that they could never sell it without being taken out, or who knows what you could do. Now, whether it stands up in court, I don't know, but as been advised before we go where we want to, somebody can sue us and find out. But that's still what the motion is without letting it be second. But then we can just discuss this more too later, y'all think. Yeah, there's no more discussion. So all in favor then of the amendment to require all gas pumps that have been installed in any neighborhood commercial within whatever time you pass this thing before, I think it's 2 years ago, I don't know, that they would have to be removed within 3 years. All in favor?
All in favor of your motion? On the motion?
Yeah.
We'll talk about your amendment.
Yeah, my amendment, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So all in favor of that?
Now, I have another question, I'm sorry. How liable are we?
Probably very.
I mean, to ask somebody to remove something we told them it was all right to do?
I don't want to mess with that at all, but you want to know something.
I know, I thought it was wrong to start with, but I,
You would be clobbered if you didn't. have
okay,
that.
thank you. That's all I needed from you.
Chance to win the other.
Okay.
So all in favor? All in favor? I'm in favor, yeah.
I'm in favor, we got 2 votes.
All opposed?
One more? 3 against? Okay, failed.
So now, we are back to Kathy's motion.
Yeah, which is to take, gas pumps out of neighborhood commercial.
And the only thing I would say too is, I mean, we do have, well, we've got a lot of properties in town, but we have New Life is available, or will be in Blockbusters too. And I think if we pass this, we're going to be sending a message that, I'm going to just come out and say this, and hopefully, don't offend anybody too correctly, but what we're going to be saying is that we're going to let, and pass an ordinance to allow somebody to do something, turn back around and disallow it later, and hopefully nobody else will come back to us, and if they do, as long as they know somebody in town good, we'll pass it again, let them put them in, disallow it again.
That's one way to say it. Another way to say it,
We haven't disallowed it.
we're righting a wrong.
We haven't-
Not completely, I think some members would disagree.
I agree. I understand.
But
How is it wrong?
I don't think we should change it.
Well, I think we should have changed it, it's not right. I mean, my point is this, and I think this is important to understand, we don't have to take the sledgehammer approach to changing our NACE code, where we just simply say that we can take it on a case-by-case basis and look at each individual situation that comes up. If we have a situation where somebody wants to put a gas station in at Blockbuster, and that neighborhood commercial, I don't know if that's a good example, that's commercial.
that might be neighbor too.
I think that's commercial.
But it would be backing up to that.
My point is this, we don't need to put a sledgehammer, we don't have to say, change our codes because of one particular instance, we can look at it on a case-by-case basis. I mean, surely if you don't want a gasoline station where New Life Fitness Center is, because it backs into your house, I understand that. Okay, but we don't have to, that would be, is that neighborhood north?
He just did it, so they would be allowed.
Okay, so they would be allowed to, okay.
But if
I'm
we
trying to
do-
think of an example.
If we do that, well, there's a place right outside Walgreens on Lake Murray Boulevard, this neighborhood commercial that backs up Hilton. They could come in there and buy that name anyway for the last year or two,
There's a lot.
and put one there.
It's not big enough, the lot's not big enough, is
It
it?
comes down pretty quick.
I thought it wasn't big enough, that's what was the situation.
But, I mean, either
Well,
way,
you
they
put-
could put in a small convenience store and one gas pump in. But
Well,
I think
you can put in, restrictions as far as the size of the lot or the dimensions of the lot. You can do things that would prevent them from having the ability to do that in neighborhood commercial where you wouldn't in general commercial.
Can we make our restrictions greater than DA restrictions?
Exactly. I don't think we need to yank the NACE code around like that, just make it on a case-by-case basis. I mean, sure you
Well, and I
can.
think to answer,
Yeah, you really
Sure
should.
you can, why not?
You ain't gonna have a rule. And
The rule is,
you can get a variation on the rule or a
exact
variance.
variance. Okay.
Yeah, but you gotta have a standing rule to go by.
We do have one, if you put it in neighborhood. And
but
then,
if you allow, say, disallow one person, they're
give me an example of where it's gonna be at, though.
Well, Blockbuster would be a good one, although it's.
Blockbuster's commercial.
I know it's commercial, but that is typical of neighborhood commercial.
I understand, but Blockbuster is general
I
commercial,
know,
you can't
that's a
stop
good
them right now.
example of what I'm talking about. You don't work on there.
But you can't
The
stop
real
them
estate
now.
office across the street's fine, you know, the beauty shop is fine. But, no, you can't stop it now, because it's general commercial. But
Correct.
there's
We could have
70
stopped it before, on general commercial.
No, that's, I don't have anything to do with general commercial. That-
So basically, I mean, that's Salvation Army and whatever's on that, whatever that is.
But there
You
are
got
70-some
all of these
properties that are affected. I think it's important.
And that's-
And I believe in business. We run, if it weren't for businesses, the town couldn't run. I have great respect for it. But this one type of business in your backyard is not.
Can I help you?
No. No, I got it.
There's a very easy fix to what you want to do.
What I want to do, take gas stations from behind these stations.
What you really ought to do, in my humble opinion, and it's just a suggestion to you, is first of all, whatever's there is there, leave it alone. The second of all, the way you do it is the way the city of Columbia does, ABC stores. And ABC stores are not allowed in neighborhood commercial zones except by special exception on vote of the, planning commission. And it's a case-by-case basis where they have very specific criteria as to what the planning commission should look at in deciding whether or not to go to special exception. Because there are some places where you have neighborhood commercial to be perfectly all right to have a gas pump there. There are, Blockbuster, does it back up to a house?
Yes.
But if you had adequate screening and so forth at the back of it, and adequate leak protection with double wall containers and automatic leak protection, it shouldn't really be a problem. But that should be a case-by-case basis, and you can create a situation if you don't try to do it, if you take your time and structure the thing, you can structure it in a way where you can prohibit them except as a special exception, but provide that the rules for special exception for them is different than general special exceptions, that they're allowed so long as the adequate safeguards can be put in place to make positive that there is no unreasonable intrusion into the residential nature of the surrounding properties that are there. And provide, of course, that, if the surrounding property owners consent, those sorts of things would be something that would be, you can craft these certain places in the world. And because, you've got a lot of neighborhood places where it'd be perfectly all right. They could be fine. But there are a lot of them, like the one at Hillcrest, which it probably wouldn't be fine. You only have 0.25 acres, it probably wouldn't work. But, you could run
Both
a
places at Hill Creek are just as big as the one on the corner up there, so it fit. And I think too, and I don't, but to me, if we were talking about it goes to planning commission, and then they gotta send it back to us.
The special exception would be granted by the planning commission. It would never come to you.
If the builder decided they wanted to get a special exception, it would go to the planning commission first. It would never come to
Oh,
the
okay,
council
okay.
if they didn't meet all the parameters.
One other thing, it might be a possibility too, which I felt like we needed to do in the past, is maybe have a, I don't know, just call it for simplicity, a neighborhood commercial 1, 2, 3, a general commercial 1, 2, 3. And a neighborhood commercial 1 may not require, and may not allow, neighborhood commercial 2 may. And, blah, blah, blah.
No.
Yeah, this is but that would be something we could look at as far as doing neighborhood commercial 1 and 2, or D and D, or whatever you call it. And then a general commercial, if we need to do that too, because I know some places like the county still have, a good time to look at that as far as, do we want to declass or reclassify neighborhood commercial? Something like that. Any more discussion?
I would think we just need some more information, maybe based on, our attorney said, Bob, work on some other options and just come out with this vote for this change you want to make to, I see what's clear.
You may be right, but I can assure you, there's not a homeowners association in this town that would not agree with me tonight. I've talked to 3, and it's the thing that scares them the most, is having either a break king or a filling station in their backyard. That's their biggest fear, isn't it?
Break king, how does that?
No, that's what I'm told,
Yeah.
is that's the 2
But
worst
Break
things.
king is a commercial business.
I'm talking about neighborhood commercial, and that's what I hear. I'm not singling them out. That's
No,
what
but I'm saying a break
people are
king,
most scared of in terms of their property values.
I agree, and we would love to keep the property values up, but without, I mean, what are we doing to the property values by protecting them by having this ordinance in the first place?
If we took out the oil places, yeah.
But was there a break king in the city?
No, that's what
No,
people
I'm saying
tell
break
me.
king,
That's
break
what
king doesn't have any
homeowners
gas pumps.
association tells me. Those
I
are
know.
the 2 worst things in your backyard.
I agree, but a break king doesn't have gas pumps. Would you allow that in there?
No.
I mean, it's a,
No, that's what the 2 things that they fear most is break king and
Uh-huh.
filling station. I'm just dealing with
yeah, I'm
filling
confused
station.
about the break king part, because I mean, a break king is a service like a garage,
Evidently,
But they don't have-
auto repair.
auto repair, but doesn't have any gas pumps.
No,
So
Well,
how
I
is this
think people
gonna?
are telling you, those type places are not what they back up.
yeah,
to
that
the-
was the gist of it. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah.
that's just what they told me.
Understand. Any other discussion? All in favor, to amend our ordinance to remove the 2, next code, we have to code, he said, next code, Nate's, from neighborhood commercial, do so as short hand. All opposed? And I'm just opposing on principle right now.
On my headline,
So it is,
I'll give you the homeowner president.
but we can probably look at some of these other things that we
We
looked
need
at
to do
as far as
something.
changes.
Things that is not right.
And I don't know if that's something I'm sure can dig up and give you, and we can, give us some time to discuss what other options are out there that they talk about in the other 1, 2, 3 type thing too. Next item is an approval to purchase an artificial Christmas tree amount of $8,363. Is there a motion, for approval?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd rather have a live one. I understand the problems that we have, and they are reoccurring problems, and they get worse and worse each year. And we require more and more out of our public works folks.
Okay, you can fill me in, because I ain't ready to spend $8,000 on a Christmas tree.
Do what?
I need to feel the problems, because I'm not ready to spend $8,000 on a Christmas tree. Can somebody fill me in?
Well, the Christmas tree that we have in the town park, now correct me if I'm wrong,
Finally died and it's gone.
it's,
We have none now.
had to be so drastically pruned that it succumbed to the lopping shear.
Came on.
The okra strut put that tree in when the park was first built, and it was about 6 foot, and it been topped 3 years, and it's still about 40 foot now, or was. And they had, in order to get scaffolding up, put lighting on it, and they had to cut the whole back side of it out to get the scaffolding close enough to be able to do that.
So
And
you see, the live tree grew, it got bigger, And you,
when you decorate.
so you had a problem decorating, so you chopped it, you cleaned it or chopped it down, and eventually killed the thing.
Uprooted, yeah.
Now, no, wait, now the roots were interfering with the drainage that
Yeah.
went with drainage for the park altogether. There were other problems.
How much
Yeah.
that,
Right on a dam.
how much that tree cost y'all 10 years ago, when y'all put it in? What, about $100?
No, it was about $400 or $500.
$400 or $500?
It was a ball and burlap, wasn't it? Well, not that.
Okay, so you had a $400 tree 10 years ago, and now you wanna spend $8 grand and buy an artificial tree. I mean, I don't see the benefit of that at all.
Well,
Because you can't get to the top of the tree. Would it be cheaper to buy this, when the tree gets to a certain height and chop down by another $400 tree? Replant it? I mean, now that's 800, so it's $1,200. I'm still ahead of the game.
The alternative would be not even have a tree, I would think.
All right, Scrooge.
You gotta think about the labor, the amount of labor.
To what, to plant a tree?
No, to decorate the tree.
To decorate a tree.
and this one's already decorated?
It's pre-lit.
Pre-lit?
Still has
Like I
the
said,
walls.
Scrooge, I'm sure we can find some nice group in the community that won't mind. Mr. Terneski, would you like to get your kids there to decorate a tree? I'm sure he'll volunteer his children to come and decorate a tree. Come on, now.
Tree decorating,
It's hard to get them.
or the
Hard to get them to clean the room.
Your tree.
bucket truck to take down all the, got it, excuse me. It's expensive to put that scaffolding up.
Well,
This is not Rockefeller Center, we're not trying to buy a
It's
1,000-foot
Rockefeller
spruce.
Center, that's
It's
what
not.
we're doing, yeah, sure.
this thing is what, 22 foot tall?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
look at
12
that.
foot wide at the base.
12 foot wide at base. It's originally 12,000, but because we buy it in January, February. So,
It's even worse.
yeah, just remember, we're getting it at a discount. If we don't buy it between now and February, we gotta skip it until next year. But our alternative is, as Paul said, have no tree, have a live tree you can stick in the ground, you know, you chop down, stick up, and then take it down in the Christmas, because it's going to die. Or plant a new one, a real one. If we plant a real one, from my understanding, is that if we put it somewhere where it won't go through the same problem, we won't have to put it in the area where people use it, park for frisbee and playing and all that kind of good thing. And it's gonna grow. So it's gonna turn into the same thing. At some point, we're gonna have to start out with another 6-foot tree, which is probably gonna be a disappointment to a lot of people, I would think, if they come to our park and see a slight. In fact, we can get a 6-foot tree or something from Kirk over there that's got an oak. But I don't think that's gonna represent the town that
We
way.
can't call it a tree lighting, and we got a darn 6-foot Kirk's old tree out there.
We don't have to build bleachers for everybody to look down on it and see it. So, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna do the Christmas tree, I think we need something that people can see. The good thing about this one is it doesn't get any bigger. My concern too is, I don't know where does the tree collapse? So the next part would go inside the big part, and the little part would go.
It's a big frame that you can climb up. You climb all the way up and you hit the frame to
On the inside or?
and the outside.
Oh.
What's the warranty on this thing?
You can climb up. It sort of looks like a ladder. So once you build the frame from the bottom up,
So you put the frame up, then you put all the green
you
stuff
start
on.
putting the tree from the top down to the bottom.
Is it like a sheet, you just
No, it's real
panels?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, put them on, hook them,
Okay.
connect all the lights.
And as far as, and I'm gonna ask it this way, men aren't always known to put Christmas trees away real good. Are y'all gonna be able to store it and take care of it, and so that
We'll store like we've stored all our other Christmas items.
Oh, like the,
We've done real well.
Have it,
The wreaths
okay.
and stuff, yeah.
right, yeah, okay.
And we got somewhere to store it?
Yeah.
Sure, we do a lot of recycle bins.
No, that's what we're getting at.
It is a recycle.
We will have room to put it before we build our public works building that we voted down some money for last week.
Mr. Fine has room there.
Okay, I just have one question. What's a 22-foot panel? What's that? What does that mean? TV.
The outside of the panel, the tree part of the branches, it's in a panel.
You got this wireframe panel, and then you got all
The
these
tree itself is a metal
branches that you
frame.
connect to it.
Okay, got it. Okay, I got it now.
So I have another question, maybe you really ask it, but the question would be, have you really explored other variety of trees? I'm sure the Leyland cypress grows real fast, that's what we had. A red cedar will grow fast as well. It's gotta be a variety out there that doesn't grow as fast, isn't it? I mean, has that been researched? That was a question.
Well, to some degree, it needs to grow fast if you're gonna put in a 6-foot tree, and you want it to be 30 foot tall, so.
Okay, what if we do this, we get a 6-foot tree or whatever, we get a fast growing tree, when it gets to a certain height, we'll sell the tree and get another 6-foot tree and start over again. You still ahead of the game.
Cherry picker.
Cherry picker, well, we're still ahead of the game.
You do
We're still ahead of the game
cherry
as far as,
We want to put up a 6-foot tree and invite everybody in town of Irmo to come
Sit on the
watch
ground.
it light.
Yes, sit on
well,
the
we get a
ground.
bigger tree, we just plant it now, and then by Christmas it'll be 7 feet, you know? I mean,
Big concern with
guys, a real tree is not that expensive, it's more, to me, if you're worried about the height, because you have a hard time decorating at the top, when it gets to be 80 feet tall, then those are the kinds of trees we sell to the State House, sit them downtown, and then we get a new tree and put it in there.
No, the concern was, a new tree, the only place we have to put it, we weren't gonna put it back on top of the dam. Detention pond, we were gonna put it in the open space, if you're standing on the amphitheater looking towards the police department. Well, that big open space in the summertime is used by all kinds of people
Yeah.
laying over there. Well, if you're gonna put a big tree up, and they're gonna lose their spot to lay out the sun.
Well, let me ask you this, are we planning on continually having a tree lighting in this park, or are we gonna move it over to the new park?
That's your decision.
I mean, that's,
I would say leave it at this one, so we're still utilizing it, and people, and it's a good place for it. And the thing too is, if we, say, buy one of those trees at the State House, I'm sure that thing's $7,000 or $8,000, I mean, you throw it down, throw it away. This one is an expense, but if you get, I'll say 10 years out of
Oh, that's keep it in 15 years.
it, it's $836 a year.
We've done that with the other decorations, and this is from the same company, I think.
So if you, what do you call it, advertise it out, then you're looking at $800 a tree at 10 years and $600 a tree at 15 years.
well, $400 tree, that's what
Yeah,
you're
yeah, but we're gonna need you.
But that $400 tree costs $101. That lady next to me, those trees are like $200. Yeah, they're nice. Yeah. Yeah. So, any more discussion? Any questions, anything? All in favor then of the town buying the Christmas tree in the amount of $8,363, which I will remind everyone, is 50% off, or 40% off. So that's, a lot better than what it would be if we bought it in March, or any time later. So it will save some money on buying it now as opposed to waiting and over a 2-year period. Hopefully, y'all take care of it. Store it good. All in favor, do so with.
I want a roll call vote.
Roll call?
Yes, sir.
All right, I will start with Councilman Walker.
No.
How do you vote?
No.
Kathy?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And Freddie?
Yes.
And Lee? Yes. So, got that, Kim? Next item is, approval for discussion of the Dennis Corporation flooding thing. They provided us a report, and this report mainly had to do with, what's the creek on this side?
The Ross, I'm sorry.
Coon.
Part of Moccasin Branch.
Moccasin
Comes
Branch,
up,
right.
Branch comes into Moccasin.
So, you know, Mr. Terneski's been to the meeting a couple of times. in regards to his property as well, which is kind of similar to the other guy that lives here, Mr. Caldwell. They did a report, his corporation did, and have sent it back, and I don't know if y'all read it. I've read it, and what I've got to, and the gist of it is that there needs to be a meeting between, I'm assuming, Mr. Chinesky, DHEC, Town of Irmo, Richland County, whoever these other people have mentioned up here.
They mentioned the hydrologist, Richland County, and that's,
Yeah, DHEC, and then utilities, Richland County Utilities, I don't know if it's maybe, to kind of decide what needs to happen, what needs to be done, and who's going to pay for it, who's going to do the work. And then also there needs to be another study, which I'm thinking we just pay for. Is what I'm kind of figuring out.
they're looking at it, it's about $9,000 was the estimate I got from Dan Dennis, that we're talking an in-depth study with 4 engineers, the hydrologist, and all the other people involved. Because the problem not just in the back of Mr. Trunnell's house.
Right,
It
because
originates somewhere else and goes somewhere else. So whether it's a downstream problem, upstream problem, it all converges right there. So they would have to do a big, massive.
But now
study.
Richland County has people that work for Richland County engineers that, I would say we do this for nothing, but they should already have this information and say, here's what can be done.
Like if they will agree to do it for free, then okay, I will. But last time they didn't want to do it, Mr. Hoop, when he came out.
I don't know why they would have a choice as to if there's a problem in their jurisdiction that they gotta fix.
He said it was money. They don't know.
They just got 22 years worth of, how many billions of dollars it was that, they should have the money. The thing that we have citizens in our town who pay property tax to the county, and the county says, keep the money, let us keep the money, you know what I'm talking about. And we sign an agreement with them that says, okay, don't give us the money back, y'all keep the money, y'all fix the problem, and they say, yeah, we'll take care of everything. And then when it comes time to take care of something, if we don't have the money, and, they got all the engineers, they got all the people, they know what the problem is. I think we need to, we have a meeting. But I know years ago, if I remember correctly, we met on your porch with DHEC and Richland County and David Hoops and all those. And basically they said that they didn't have right of ways and some other issues and stuff like that.
Throughout the whole area.
Well, I think at that time they were only talking about kind of behind your house and the houses behind there in that open ditch and some other places too that, we were asking them then just to go in there and fill that ditch up, pipe it up or do something. And they were saying they didn't have right away and they couldn't do it because they couldn't get to it. It looked like they wanted to ask for it, do whatever they're supposed to do. I don't know if we can write them a letter as a council. We all agree, they need to look at this and they need to do it. We don't. We don't need to, I don't know, whatever kind of dollar amount in that report that this engineer is talking about now, to tell them something, they're gonna say, we already know it. You don't need a report, we already know it. We just need somebody to tell them to do it. And we can ask their council to do it, unless their council tells them to do it.
Actually, Jake,
I'm going to draft, a letter going to draft, basically should be on my desk right now. As soon as I got the report from the village corporation, I read it, I didn't particularly think it said a whole lot. But it doesn't look rocket science just to see what's going on there. The catch basins are not doing anything in the water. It's not a matter of the pipe, it's the catch catch basins right through David's front yard, into his backyard, and then straight toward the old lady's ground. And this isn't that hard. But it's, until we start speaking about it, it's gonna be, quite frankly, if they don't fix it, then I think we need to CDP turkey out. Or David does, and the town does too.
That letter that you, because this other guy's property is also in Richmond County, it's a different creek, but I think we need to kind of address that one too. I mean, they need to do what they're taxing their citizens to do.
First I heard of this one.
Yeah, that's first, he came in the other day and talked about it, and I thought, we've got
David's situation gotta get addressed. This is not just David's situation, even if it was just David's situation.
I mean, Jake, it's hard just getting out there and cleaning the ditch. I think Mr. Attorney, you cleaned your own ditch, didn't you?
But
You didn't get the county
yeah,
out there.
but this isn't clean.
Yeah,
It
it
ain't the police's problem.
I gotta wait until some of our reputation by citizens.
That's one thing we can do, get him a letter, maybe add this other stuff to it and send it to Public Works and to Richmond County Council and see if, as a whole, I don't know if we all need to sign it, or say on behalf of the town, or we all need to sign it.
I mean, you need to go to David Booth's first and let him respond in writing what they will or will not do.
And you come in, we'll do that, and then you can send one later to the council.
I've sent one, I guess Dave says, I've sent one on behalf of Dave. I put in that I am town attorney, and I sent it on behalf of Dave.
Any other discussion, questions, or whatever? Next things on the agenda, we have 3 items to possibly submit to the Penny sales tax people, Macon County. And I'll just say this up front before we get started. Johnny Jeffco came and spoke last week or this week?
Last week.
Talking over myself and Bob. Just kind of letting us know that some of the stuff maybe that we were, I won't say told, but some of the stuff that the Penny, the Alliance Corporation, their consulting, that, this project may not be good, you may not get points, and this project, and all that. Yes, they're, trying to help people, but at the same time, we don't necessarily have to tell them some truth that, or pay attention to it. We can submit that. So based on that, and here's where we are now.
I thought we voted on this last fall.
We did, we voted on
Got
those
to be
particular,
in.
on those projects. They can still take projects, I think, until the 30th, is that correct, Dave?
Well,
20th, and I heard the 30th.
They've subcontracted the work out to ICE, I believe, and Mr. Beckville here, if you want to ask him, but they're going to help us prepare all the look good stuff that needs to go in the packet in the projects before it gets submitted to the committee.
We can discuss these with each one individually, we get a motion in a second. The first one on there is a motion to submit Thames Valley intersection project to Macon County. Is there a motion? And I will make a motion then. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And any discussion?
Okay, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
First off, I think, Mr. Walker and myself was the only ones that, did vote to leave anything on the table.
Right.
Just so that we didn't walk away from money that could come our way. I think what they're doing here is asking us to, because the voice of council was no, and it was a 3-2 vote, if my memory is correct. The request tonight is really a request to reconsider. And as I understand it, some of the issues that we have here, some of the projects, have ramifications that are within the town of Irmo, as well as outside that the county might be looking at. One that comes to mind is County of Rawls Creek issue. And being again one of the old ones on council, we spent a lot of money over on Rawls Creek many years ago to codes work, straightening out that creek and all. But again, you've got to be careful what you turn loose into town. You can't turn it loose on somebody that can't handle it. And now it sounds like Lexington is trying to step up and maybe consider some of that, which could help us with the Rawls Creek side. So I think they're asking us to reconsider some of that. Again, I hate to leave money on the table if we're not going to get the money back.
And I agree with you, because you're right. It was a 3-2 vote last meeting, and the 3-2 vote was not to submit anything because y'all felt that the 1 cent sales tax was a waste of the taxpayers' money. And that's all I heard about in the newspaper, is how Irmo is trying to be thrift-wise and not tax anybody, and we rejected the 1 cent sales tax proposal, and how, that's what I heard all last week, how the newspaper reported that, you know, we voted 3-2, that we were not gonna submit anything because we didn't wanna tax folks any more than we were gonna get taxed. And I told them that was not the situation at all. My point was, if they asked us to submit 4 or 5 projects for this thing, submit them. And all I heard from the council was, no, we're not gonna submit anything because we don't wanna tax anybody. And then
But
this
we
meeting,
don't have that choice.
we don't have that choice. But now, I look at this meeting, and now you got this 3 projects on here asking for the money that you said that you didn't wanna tax people about in the first place. What happened over the last week?
Well,
Did I miss a meeting or something?
All right, since I
Did y'all have a
asked them-
secret meeting and then y'all got some payoffs underneath the table or something that said, hey, we
No.
do something?
I'll
What
answer that
happened?
since I asked this to be on the agenda. First of all, I never said at the last meeting, never said, and I'll direct it right there, that I was making any kind of statement to anybody on any tax. I voted against it because I didn't like none of those projects. I didn't think those projects were worthy. I didn't think they were the kind of projects to be on there. No, I didn't.
My
In fact,
understanding
listen to
was
this
not,
thing.
my understanding was that y'all didn't want to burden the taxpayers any
Well,
further. So
I-
by us not submitting
Now,
anything,
You spoke, let me
that was
finish.
way
Let me
to
finish.
get that message across to Lexington County.
Let me finish.
Well, that's,
Well,
that's what I understood. Now,
well, then
I
that's, you
misunderstood
understood
that.
wrong because you read the paper and the paper didn't get it correct. I know Kathy
I was
said
at the
that.
meeting.
Kathy said that after the meeting. I never heard Paul say that whatsoever. I know I didn't say that whatsoever. I did, my whole thing was I didn't like those projects. I did, and I'll explain why. This penny sales tax originally started, and it's off track some, but it's still, it started to fix stuff that the county couldn't fix and the municipalities couldn't fix. Because either the county didn't have the money to fix it, like Lost Creek for them, or the state didn't have the money, like John Hardy Expressway, and some of these, whatever. So they started out, if we're gonna do a tax to raise money for these, what I call necessary, can't get them done any other way projects. Then they asked everybody to start submitting stuff. And then they started encouraging people just to get anything down you want. I felt like that was wrong. Just like Paul mentioned on the building. If we want to build it, we can pay for it. I think we can, we got the money. I think if we want sidewalks on Church Street, we can get a grant for that and we can move forward. This particular thing here, Thames Valley, is I think we need some intersection improvement there to make turn lanes so that people coming this direction can turn left over the railroad track without blocking traffic. Now, they're the ones that told us that probably wouldn't be a good project because we didn't have CSX right away, and blah, blah, blah. Johnny said, that's, no. He said, a lot of people are turning stuff in that ain't got show ready, they ain't got right away, they ain't got anything. So he said that would be one that turn it in. It may get to this, it may not. And then we discuss some of these other things, which we can discuss in under there. But at the same time, I think that Rawls Creek came up, and I told them, we talked about Rawls Creek. And they said because it wasn't entirely in our town, that it probably wouldn't get a lot of points and approved because Lexington County would have to sign off on it too. We asked Johnny Giffords, is this something we put on there, you're gonna projects that if we wanted to do any one of these, it's probably out of our budget. And they also require, like the light at, the synchronization. That's something that DOT told us, yeah, we need to do. And then they told us they didn't have money. So this is kind of like, okay, well, we're gonna let y'all do it and get the money from Lincoln County if they pass it. So I think these are a whole lot more, required, necessary, important, or needed, or whatever you might call it, as opposed to some of the others. But we can still vote against it. And anybody that thinks we shouldn't have it, they can vote against it, they can vote for it. And that's why I asked these to be on there individually, so instead of doing them all at once, just do them individually. If one passes or two or three, then
Listen, I don't have a problem with the voting of the projects. It was on our last agenda, Thames Valley, St. Andrews intersection.
right.
You said that you didn't like these projects that they had on it. It was
And I
on-
made a motion for that individually, and it didn't get a second, so we didn't pull it out and vote on it
My
separately.
point is, it was on there. It was one of the projects on this list that you put together. So all of a sudden now,
I didn't
because
put
you
that
guys
other
have,
list together.
huh?
I didn't put that other list together, we did that as a town, as a staff.
I was given 5 items that you said that these was 5 items that we should submit.
I never said we should, no.
I got the damn memo right here. You said 5 items.
Those were staff
Yeah,
proposals.
staff
They came from the
came up
town and suggested from the town as a whole.
This is mayor and council members from Bob. These are the 5 items, that projects that we should submit for council. So council need to prioritize. Is that not what you said?
Well, originally, council had approved the 5 projects prior to that, and in the last meeting, we had to prioritize and say, decide which one's gonna be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Correct, so,
And then council decided not to do anything.
but they didn't, we didn't decide not to do it, they decided not to submit anything because why? Because you're
I
trying to
voted
make a
against it,
statement.
I thought they weren't
You're trying to
good.
make a statement, no,
And you voted for because you thought they were good, Harvey thought they were good.
I thought we should at least put something in the table. And y'all said, no, you're crazy, Councilman Walker.
No, y'all didn't
Councilman
either.
Luther.
No, we did not say
You
that.
guys
We're going
didn't
on
put
with
anything
you
in
now.
there.
Mm.
You won't be happy. We're going along with you now.
I don't know what happened between last
These
meeting.
are better projects, I think.
It's the same project.
No, they're not.
It
There's
says
3,
Thames Valley, San Andreas intersections.
and
exactly
the other
same project.
4 are not on there.
So the one project was good, right?
I thought the one was.
Okay, but you, so now that project, that one good project, wasn't worthy of going forward at that time.
It didn't get a second.
It did get a second, you
No.
voted against it.
I made a motion to only look at that one and pull it off, and it didn't get a second. So it was still all 5 or nothing.
So it was all 5 or nothing,
Yeah.
submit all 5 projects. So
I know.
submitting all 5 of those projects is still not a good idea.
I don't think so. I don't think those projects are worthy of what the voter is gonna vote for in the end. If they look on there, and if I lived in P and Gas or
Look.
wherever, and I saw County of Irmo getting a building, I'd say, well, that don't matter to me, I don't care, and that vote gets the tax. I
Well-
think that it needs to be made up of
Well, I know
stuff
for a fact that the information that I got back to me is that Irmo decided not to submit anything with its petty sales tax project because we don't want to burden our taxpayers anymore. That was
Now you
the
can
reason-
correct.
That's a statement,
And I think that's a catch-22
you
situation.
know, and that wasn't a statement that we were making.
I read it too, but it wasn't
It
correct.
wasn't a statement that we were making, that I was making.
And it wasn't what I was making either.
Well, obviously it got out that way.
Well, can you help that?
It's a catch-22 situation. If we don't put anything on the table,
Right.
there's no way that we're gonna benefit by any of the dollars. We do not have the option to say, we don't want you to collect those dollars from our people.
Exactly.
The money is like finding the money laying in the middle of the street and saying, I'm just gonna leave it there, somebody else will get it, and moving on. We, in years past, have voted not to elect to participate and have that penny charged to us, or 2 cents. We don't have that option anymore, and that's why I voted to at least put something on the table. I will not vote, when it comes up for a vote, I'll say now, I will not vote for it to pass countywide. And I feel like my hand's behind my back, because I won't get an option to vote for it, because I live in Richland County.
Any other discussion? We'll kind of, I won't say go through this on each one, but we'll just vote each one
I'm
up
not
and down.
gonna go through each one, my point was, is that we, as a council, I respect the will of council. And the vote was 3-2 not to submit anything against my wishes to submit something. And now all of a sudden, we're gonna submit something anyway. That's fine, that's fine, we're gonna submit something, but now, what has changed? I wanna know what changed in my hands, is what I'm saying.
I think there's some good projects on here. I think Thames Valley's a good project, I think Walls Creek is a neat
I
project.
think it was a good project than last time, too. And we should have submitted it.
We should probably done it individually, and we could have, I don't know, but that's here and there, and that's, whatever. Here we are today.
So what's the difference? We're gonna submit all three of these individually, or?
We had to vote on each, because they're on here separate, so we have to vote each one up and down, and then whatever's standing gets turned in. And then it still may not make it, but,
At least we got something in there.
yeah. And, if I'm not reported, if I'm not quoted, I will say that, after the stuff is all over and said and done, I think there's probably a better chance that we'll get something more than that, because they want to make sure that we get something on there.
Mayor, I think we also should mention that there's still some more homework that Bob would have to do on all three of these projects.
No, I'm done. Mr. Bechtel is going to do the rest of the
All
work.
right, so he's gonna go and get some engineering work done for free, I believe, by Mr. Bechtel. So,
What happens now, whichever ones we vote on gets turned over, and then they do whatever they gotta do, and then they turn it over to Alliance, and Alliance kind of puts them all in order by appointing and all that kind of stuff. And then they turn that list over to that citizen committee, and they kind of start with, we got, $300 million, whatever it is, start going down the list until they run out of money, and they decide it, and then that goes to county council, and they can either look at it and like it, and vote yea to do a referendum, or they look at it and we don't like it, vote no. And then they start the process over.
but I know you're talking about Thames Valley Road.
Right.
The other two projects, I would think need to be discussed as well.
Yeah, and we can, that's why I say we'll vote on this one now, yea or nay, and then we'll make a motion for the second one, same discussion, or a little bit less, and then vote on that, and then we vote on the next one. So right now, we're on Thames Valley. Is there a motion? But we got a motion in a second. All in favor of Thames Valley being submitted, do so with show of hands. All opposed? Next one is approval to submit Rawls Creek drainage project to Elgin County. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second.
Sir?
And any discussion?
This needs to be done.
Yeah, this is very important.
Very
Now, this one is the one that I think Carly was talking about. Because it's not completely in our county, it's going to be very important that Lexington County put it on the list with their projects they're turning in, so that not just the part that's in the Irmo will be fixed.
It's that one that runs back behind Chapel White.
And all the way down to Saluda River.
Right, and goes back into Coatesworth and into the retention pond that we had to build.
We're asking for it to be fixed from Lexington County, Irmo, all the way to Saluda. They just got to jump in on the wagon too.
This
and
is
say, yeah.
serious. This is,
And that will help fix a lot of problems on that side.
this is serious.
Any more discussion?
What it happens is it's going to touch the money.
Well, and one thing in regards to that, and of course they say, and I don't know all the, 40% of the taxpayer money that would be collected would be paid from out of county, any other shoppers. So, take it in. Anyway, all in favor of Rawls Creek drainage project being submitted to the Lexington County Committee for progress, do so show of hands. The next one is approval to submit South Carolina 60, South Carolina 32, which is basically Lake Murray Boulevard, St. Andrews Road, Woodrow intersection.
sign by the TD Bank.
I thought it was,
You got a light on the St. Andrews side, but not on this side.
Actually putting a light on Woodville Street.
I got you,
And then getting them all
Right there,
synced.
And then synchronizing all
I
that.
got you.
Yes, the blink is dark right now.
It'll work.
The one I was dodging across.
Right, and then you have to sneak out and look and pray.
Well, yeah, I don't know why there's not a wreck every day. There may be.
I think a lot of people don't, I go around. I don't know where
I try to avoid it if at all possible.
Somebody get by my truck. That's enough.
The traffic is getting worse on Lake Murray Boulevard and all around Irmo. And the lights are moving by time, on the timer, so.
Yeah, it's getting,
As the hospital gets finished, as you know, we're gonna have even more problems. So, I would think it'd be very important to have better synchronization of our lights.
I think too, the DOT had kind of, the ones that told us years ago we didn't do it.
They looked
And
at it
then
a
why
couple
didn't
of years
it?
ago.
And then when it came back, they
Big
didn't have
bucks.
the money.
Yeah, big bucks.
Until you didn't
I
do
think that's a
something.
program problem, that's not really an engineering problem, is it?
Well,
I don't know.
you gotta put the lights on, and then you gotta put those things in the ground, and then you gotta make them all
Yeah.
work. You know, whoever's, whatever, sitting there the longest or however
Traffic
they do
light
it.
is $200,000. $50-something like that. Yeah.
All right, any more discussion, questions? All in favor then of this project, do so with show of hands.
So what would be comments?
Well, now these three will go to Bob and that gentleman, and they'll do their stuff, magic, whatever, figure it all out, get the cost analysis, give them something, and then it goes to.
Slicing it up and making it look
So
good.
there's submit these three projects to Petty Tax,
They'll sit down with a score sheet.
which we could have done 2 meetings ago.
If we had, we didn't have these two on there. Cause we were kinda led to believe in a way enough that they couldn't get points. And they still might, they may not get it.
Yeah, at least that's something.
So next item is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who would want to address Irmo County Council on any matter, whether it's on the agenda or not, may do so at this time. We just ask you to give us your name and address for the record. Anyone? Okay.
David Charneski, 306 Shillingford Road. Just want to say thank you for everything, kind of getting excited. If there's anything that I could do, whatever emails or anything like that, just email me and I'll take care of it. But it's looking better and better. So I appreciate all your efforts. Mr. Moore, I appreciate your efforts. Thanks.
Did the last big rain that we have, did
Okay.
it seem that what had been done helped any?
Thank you. And yeah, and I totally, it helped. When I dug like 18 to 20 inches deep, 100 yards down, I found my neighbor's sewer line that comes through. And what I did was I dug down under the sewer line. But what happens is after like two or three rains, it dams up again. So again, I checked it. It's kind of like a fascination now because it's I got all involved in this. But today after work, I went in and looked at it, and you could see where the leaves and the now it's forming. In other words, I dug all the way down, and then now it's fallen from the sides, and we're getting enough rain to where it's taken some of that soot and it's flushing out the end, if that makes sense. It's taken out and around, but more is now falling in, and if you look at it, you could see hard clay forming almost like a concrete slab. Okay, but what is happening is the soot from the streets and everything will hit that sewer pipe, and it will dam everything up at the sewer pipe again. So that big trench that I dug underneath the sewer line fills up immediately. It's almost like a fertilizer, hooking your fertilizer bottle to your hose, and it eventually picks up all the liquids out of and disperses it. Well, what that does is it eventually just fills it right up again, and then it creates a dam again. So then I still have 8 inches of water behind the sewer line, but everything in front of that sewer line is streaming. And it is to a certain point where it continues to stream because water travels through the gravel, but it's still dammed up. And what we were saying was the problem isn't just the drainage. Also, don't forget, there's a huge sinkhole on the side of my building that it's getting worse and worse and worse. So something, Richland County's got to do something. I don't know if they're thinking that they could just patch the line or whatever they got to do, but...
You're talking about a sinkhole where the pipe is collapsed or something?
Yeah, the pipe is collapsed, so the pipe is somehow broken, and then by the water rushing through the pipe, because the pipe is completely full of water, it rushes through the breakage part, apparently, and is pulling out the soil as it's coming through and pulling it all the way through. And now the soil will start going in, and my neighbor, it's right on the other side of my fence, my neighbor is putting bricks and stuff or soil in there that he's fixing up his house and thinking, oh, that's just a hole. So he's just doing this, but then all of a sudden we figure out, whoa, this is actually a sinkhole that's occurring. So, yeah, what I did helped, and it's great. I'm fascinated by it. But it was like when it rained, I text somebody. I don't know who I texted a week or 2 or 3 ago. I said, come on by the house. I think it was
You sent me a picture.
Yeah, I come by the house, and I sent them a picture of it. It was very recent, and the water was backed up all the way up the street again. Mm-hmm. And then I go out and go do my duties, go out to the drainage ditch, and I look, and there's probably that much water left before the whole pipe is full of water coming through. So it's kind of entertaining now. But my house, it didn't flood, so that's cool. But we didn't get anything like 4 inches of rain in an hour or 2 or whatever. And Mr. Moore has a point, man. These guys, they're trying to fall through every loophole possible. Their rule of thumb is your water has to dissipate within 72 hours of the storm. If it's stagnant for more than 72 hours, then there's no problem. That's where DOT is. DOT says if it doesn't drain within 2 days, then if it drains in less than 2 days, there is no problem. That's what they're saying. That's what when Mr. King and we all sat in my yard, or in its pouring rain, and we're all looking at the problem. That's what they said. They said if the yard stagnant is for 72 hours, then our job is done. But it's not done, because Dennis Corporation came out and said all the lines are rerouted to somewhere that has no idea where they're going, and they're only pipes that's that big. Because they pulled all the manhole covers and they just sat there and just shook their head like, oh my gosh, what were they thinking? They weren't thinking. So it was just, and the centrifugal force of the water coming down, there's no way possible for where they put the manholes that it even can hit. It rolls right by it. And they all agreed on that too. And they're like, so what you guys are doing is awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to address
How you doing this evening? My name is Andre Williams, 252 Sandstone Road. I'm here tonight to discuss a traffic stop, Irmo Police, the displeasure the officers showed in my case. I recently was stopped by Irmo Police by gunpoint. Me and my son, 8, 9 years old, with guns drawn and everything, and I think that was uncalled for and unfair, but they didn't think it was, they think it was just in that case. I just want the community of Irmo to put on record that traffic stops like this and having a citizen of the community to go through that is unacceptable.
What happened?
I was driving home and they said my call was a burglary call and it was involving a burglary, and they had me gunpoint in front of my car, me and my son. But
Did you pick up your reports today, Mr. Williams?
yes,
Would you like to tell them the rest of the story, Mr. Williams?
with the rest of the story is I was driving home and the officer said this call was part of a burglary that just happened. According to the police report, it happened at 2:05. I was at Irmo Elementary School picking up my son. I came through at 2:45. The guy, according to the police report, said he got arrested at 2:23. So if a guy got arrested at 2:23 and I'm coming through 2:45, I don't know why I'm pulled over by gunpoint. But they said the victim said it was a gold car, and I got a gold car. But it also said in the police report it was a white male driving a gold car. I'm a black male driving a gold car.
What else did the incident report say, Mr. Williams?
What else did it say? It also said
Your car was identified not by us, but by the person whose house was burglarized.
no. It said
She said that there was a black male and a white male.
She said it was a white male. I got the police report right here. She said it's a white
Show
male.
it to her.
It's a white male driving the car, a black male in the back seat of the car. That's what she said. And then our neighbor said it was a Toyota car, and I got a Honda Accord. That's what the neighbor said in the police report. It was a Toyota because they followed it out of the subdivision. They said it went on Irmo Drive going right, the car out of the subdivision. I went out of the subdivision going left. They said they followed the car out. I came through Lake Murray way, so I didn't even go that way. So when I came through, the car had to be going right, and I went left. But the officer pulled me over saying that this car was in a burglary. That's what the police report said.
Right.
Okay.
And officers identified themselves to you, left you their business cards.
Yes.
Because they had to go back to the scene of the burglary. Your car was identified by the witnesses and the victims of the burglary, so this was not Irmo Police Department singling you out for any action. We were following up on the investigation given to us by both the victim and the witness. Once we discovered that you had no involvement in the burglary, we released you with our apologies.
No, you didn't. They didn't apologize.
They attempted to, but you didn't want to.
No, they didn't. They didn't even attempt to.
Yes, sir, they did. That's why they gave you their business cards.
No. When they gave me their
And then
business
you
card.
left, and
No.
then came to see me, correct?
Yeah, correct. I came to see
And then we
you.
did do an investigation, did we
Yes,
not?
and you said it was
And we gave you
exonerated.
a copy of this police report, did we not?
Yes.
So we've answered all your questions.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
Uh,
Not to your satisfaction.
No.
But we've answered them.
So that's why I'm just here, community, they would get guns drawn on a 10-year-old kid. I just think that's unacceptable. A 10-year-old kid, like I read in the police report says that I was not cooperative and hostile. And that to say that I'm not cooperative, hostile, everything the officer asked for, I did. He asked me for an ID, I gave it to him. First, he pulled me over, asked me to put my hands out the window. So I stuck my hands out the window. First of all, he was going like 100 miles an hour, so all the cars was pulled on the side of the road. So my car didn't drive because I thought he was going to go by. So he pulled up behind me and said, and I said, I rolled down my window, so you pulling me over? And the first thing he said, let me see your hands. So I put my hands out the window, right? He said, throw your keys out the window. So I said, I went to give him the keys to throw them out the window. I'm just doing what the officer asked me to do. And he said, let me see your hands. But he just asked me to throw my keys out the window. Unless there's a different way you could throw keys out the window with your hands showing. So I did that, and then I got out the car with my hands on my head, and I kept saying, my son is in the car. But what I can't accept is when the officer asked me, when I asked the officer, he came to the other car because there's 2 officers with guns drawn. He said to me, he said to the other officer, he said, he has his son in a car. I don't think he would be out burglarizing home. meaning if I didn't have my son in the car, I must be out burglarizing homes. That's what your officer said. I'm going to quote it, and then this is quote. He said again, he has his son in the car, so I don't think he'd be out burglarizing homes. Right? So when he walked away, he gave me his business card, and he had his first initial, last name. And I said, excuse me, what's your first name? He turned around with an evil look and said, I gave you my name, and walked away. That's your officer said. That's why I came to your precinct to make a report. And I told you the same thing I'm telling them now.
Who's the officer?
Two officers, Sergeant Dale and Officer Null.
And I probably might be the only one that in this community probably didn't have, you know, it probably happened to other people, but other people probably haven't came up and speak about it. You know, I just felt, you know, to have my 10-year son again and to say I was hostile. I wasn't hostile, I was scared for my life because he asked me to show him my hands and then asked me to throw the keys out and then reach back in my car. A lot of things happened where he was reaching for something. And I wasn't worried about more of my life. I was worried about my 10-year-old son's life because bullets have no name on it. You know, and so if he said I'm reaching for something, shoot the car at me, and I'm standing right in front of my son in a car, bullets have no name. He asked me that anything he asked me to do, I did. So to say in a report that I was hostile and uncooperative, everything he asked for, because I was scared for my son and my life. So he said, let me see your driver's license. Do you live here? I answered every question he asked. To say that I was hostile, I just want to know what I said to him that was hostile. What did I do that was hostile? When he said do something, I did it. You know, but, you know, and a report comes back that says that, you know, and then like I said, Chief Buck said in the report, it says a Toyota, because that's what a neighbor said. They followed the car out the community, and it was a Toyota. That's what the report said. I didn't make up the report. And he said the victim said that it was my car identified. She said, quote, and they quoted it, I think that's the car. Think and is two different things. You know, she said, I think that's the car. And she didn't say it was the car. She said, I think that's the car.
This robbery took place at the school, or did it take place at
In the Hill Creek subdivision.
Okay.
You know, and I just happen to come through picking up my son every day. And I cut through the subdivision. If I pick up my son 1,000 times, I cut through there probably about 700, 800 times. Every day, this is a routine. Same time, just for every day, the same time. But I was just coming through the neighborhood. There was 2 officers at a house with a lady. And I passed through, and like 5 minutes later, I was gunpoint. So.
That's my number. I'll call you. Use my number. Call me.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to address Irmo Council on anything regardless on the agenda or not?
I'm Julius Waits. I live at 124 Boulders Lock Road and have for 28 years. I've been in Richland County for 69 years next month. I just have a couple of questions. When we moved to Irmo, we moved here to escape Yuppieville. I lived in Chandon, but we came here for the schools and the quiet community and the upkept homes. Now we have people parking in yards, 4 and 5 automobiles. Lawns are non-existent in some places anymore, and I have heard it through several people that have complained before I have, that the town of Irmo does not want to enforce this because it will make the citizens mad. Now, I have trouble with that. I taught economics and government for 34 years. I'm sure I'd make you gentlemen and ladies angry if I went into your home and took something and said it's for my pleasure. I'm sorry it makes you mad, but I think the town would arrest me. So I'm just curious about that. Another thing that bothers me is when you drive through the town of Irmo at night, and with the rain we've been having and the fog, and in the early morning, if you go around a sharp bend in the road, you might run head on into a car that's parked heading toward you. There are no reflectors on the fronts of automobiles. They're on the back. Judge Epting threw a case out one time when a young lady ran into a car during fog and rain. He asked her how does she plead, and she said guilty. And Judge Epton kind of raised his shoulders and leaned forward and says, "How do you plead, young lady?" She said, "Not guilty." Case dismissed. The car was parked illegally. Planning Commission makes recommendations to council. They haven't made this recommendation yet, and I know personally one of the members of the Planning Committee has asked that they do that. Have y'all received that yet? About parking in yards and parking incorrectly on the streets?
Well, and when you're parking in the lake,
You park with the flow of traffic.
that is illegal whether we pass it or not, if I'm correct. I mean, that is illegal parking in the wrong direction.
Supposed to park on the correct side of the road for the direction of traffic, yes.
So we don't have to pass anything, that is already kind of.
But it's not being enforced, Mayor. It's kind of like the old story in the Animal Farm that I'm sure we've all read, because it was either required in high school or required in college. The animals, when the humans died, they took over the farm and began to make it prosper, and they had a big sign on the barn that said all animals are equal. And then one day the intelligent pigs, people don't think pigs are smart, but pigs are very smart animals. Horses are stupid, but anyway, the sign had changed one day when the pigs started taking control to all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. So we're going to enforce this law, but we're not going to enforce that law. I've had some questions about setbacks in the town of Irmo. And in Richland County, it's 25 feet. I was told by Ms. Lovelace that it's 15 feet in the town of Irmo, because major roads are 25 feet, little subdivision roads are only 15 feet. But she also neglected, and I at the time had not remembered, from the edge of the road there is an area that is, pardon me looking at what I've got here, it's not the set, it's the right-of-way. And from the right-of-way, however far that is in the town of Irmo now, I don't know, but from the right-of-way, then you have the setback. So the setback could still be 25 feet from the right-of-way. And in some cases, that's not being enforced. I have a new neighbor who bought the house from his wife's mother's estate that has questioned some of the vehicles that are appearing in our particular community. And he said he didn't know he was moving in the middle of a trailer park. When I moved to Irmo, I lived in Richland County, and that was it. We voted in November after I moved to Irmo to join the town of Irmo. We had covenants in our subdivision. One of them was no recreational vehicles, and yet we have them. And some are in setback. But when I've gone to talk with Mr. Brown, well, that particular vehicle doesn't follow the definition of recreational vehicle. And I said, well, what is your definition of a recreational vehicle? Because I called a former student's father, Walker Rabin, who was highway commissioner, and he referred me to a colonel that wasn't a colonel back when he was commissioner, but he's now heads the building behind us. I had no idea it was there. And he told me that the federal government has a definition of recreational vehicle. All 50 states, and there are just 50, follow that definition, and all municipalities in South Carolina follow them, or they're illegal. So I'm just questioning, are we becoming Animal Farm with the new sign, or what? Thank you.
I didn't hear. What was the name?
Beg pardon?
What was your name?
Julie Waits, 124 Bolter's Lock Road.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to, thank you, Mike. Anyone else who would like to address Irmo County Council on any issue? presentation by citizens is where citizens tell us whatever their concerns are. It's not an open debate, so we can't answer a lot of stuff talk, but, you know, we need to listen to what you said, we need to act upon it, we need to move forward. So maybe we'll see what goes from there. And next item is executive session. Is there a need for executive session? Anything, anybody? No? Next item is adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.